Well, I'm Evan.
And I'm Boyd.
And, it's about midnight at the man cave. We have a special treat for the intro tonight. Boyd, hit it.
Maestro, take it away.
Not so long ago, in a man cave not far away, Boyd had made his return.
And I thought we could talk some more and try to talk with you, our friends, about a certain teacher you might know.
This big woman, she didn't thrill us. We locked the door and she tried to kill us.
We actually liked that class, but she just sat on her butt.
We taught the class and she did nothing. Oh, why couldn't she just be teaching? We just wanted to be broadcasting.
That's why we made this song. Oh my, this here situation. Lisa Bird, your vision's blurred. This class used to be fun. And we ran this class and begged for Grove to come back, saying, Bird, why don't you just go and pack? 'Cause of you, this class won't be back.
So yeah, tonight's broadcast is about Mrs. Bird. As many of you know, Boyd and I had broadcasting with her this past year. It was interesting. So we'll start at the very beginning, and that's with Mr. Grove. Mr. Grove was a good teacher. I mean, he wasn't the best, but he taught us how to run the class. You know, he really taught us about all the systems and all the equipment and all that great stuff. It was great. But then, Mr. Grove left Meridian, and Mrs. Bird took on all the video classes.
It's tragic.
So we have a list of things, and our first thing is she doesn't know the material.
Well, yeah, I mean, first off, we gotta get into how she got the job and why Grove left. So, of course, Grove had his flaws, but, you know, you never know a good thing till it's gone. And, you know, Grove, he was a good thing. He was the best thing that ever happened to broadcasting, in my opinion. So, what ended up happening is, of course, Tom Luna's situation, budget cuts. Teachers had to go. So, they decided to take it out of the tech department.
Well, actually, Grove didn't like the job in security, so he was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Lowell Scott, because they've offered me a job, and I'd rather work there. I know he told the broadcasting department one thing, but that's what really happened. Boyd is like, But yeah, that's really what happened, because Shauna Huff was pretty good friends with Grove, and that's what happened. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, she came into the class. She actually lied to be able to teach the class. She said, oh yeah, I have a degree in broadcasting and video and all that stuff. She didn't.
No.
When they found out, they had to give her an honorary certificate for her to be able to teach the class legally.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not good grounds in the first place. You just kicked out our favorite teacher and took over his class. So, I mean, right there, it's going to be on bad grounds with us.
Yeah.
But, you know, end of the year and all, Grove, as he's leaving, is like trying to give away as much wisdom as he can to help the program run next year.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of had me and Evan take inventory of all the stuff, taught us how to use all the equipment kind of thing. So, I mean, we knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
We knew this class. And so, next year starts and all, we kind of knew. Mrs. Bird didn't know much about it. I mean, I had her for a class in a previous year, and, you know, she didn't even know that class's material all that well either. So, I mean, I've heard that she also teaches photography, and her teaching idea is read the book. And so, I mean, not a whole lot of teaching going on there. So,
But anyway.
yeah.
So in broadcasting, we used a program called Final Cut, right? And She had all summer to learn this program, and it's a pretty simple program. We came to school, she knew nothing about it.
Didn't even try. I mean, an example of laziness right there. We did say that she had all these qualities. Well, there's laziness right there. Did not even try.
And we tried to teach her, but she, refused to learn.
Yeah.
And she actually had her her
Videotech
Videotech 1 class use iMovie. That's the equivalent to Windows Movie Maker. And we had a $500 video editing program that she didn't have a video class use.
I mean, that's just, I don't know, stupidity.
Anyway, let's move on. So Boyd and I gave Miss Bird a proposal of how we thought the class could be improved upon on Grove's system. I mean, Grove's system was okay, but we came up with an idea of how it could be even better. What did she do? Threw it out the window.
And this wasn't just something that we had just been randomly talking about. I mean, this is the kind of thing where we had a week where every night we met after school and talked for 4 or 5 hours, maybe more, just about making the best possible ideas to make the class better. So we put a lot of time and effort into this proposal.
We made a PowerPoint and everything.
PowerPoints, handouts.
We made this good, okay? Yeah. There was no BS here.
Mm-hmm.
We were good.
I almost wore a tuxedo to the presentation, but glad I didn't.
That would have been weird. Anyway, so we also had to move the broadcast system. This is the next thing on the list. And so we had to move the broadcasting class from one end of the campus to another, pretty much.
Because, Mrs. Bird, she has her own building about 100 to 200 feet outside of the main building, because all the other teachers got so sick of this lady, they actually kicked her out of the school into an old, decrepit building that was not actually part of the main building here. This is the A building. We ended up calling it the broadcasting building because it was exclusively broadcasting, basically, and photography and all those classes that don't matter.
And so we moved the system. Boyd and I pretty much organized how everything should be moved because we had done that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And we had help from, Steven Shimke, he was on a show earlier, and several other people that we don't want to name the whole class here, but they helped too. But, we were the guys that putting extreme effort into this.
Mm-hmm. And so we had to, teach her, where all the cords and stuff went to put the system back together. And she would, fight with us about this cord goes here. And we were like, no, Bird, you don't understand, okay? We've done this. We've done this before, okay? So
yeah.
Let us do this. And so after that, the fridge!
The fridge, yeah. In 3D.
In 3D. And so it'll never get old. And so Boyd decided that he would be a TA for her after broadcasting one day.
I mean, it was I had an elective that I wanted to take. But she didn't know much, and at the beginning of the year, she seemed receptive. This was before she threw our proposal out the window. And I was like, okay, well, I will take an elective time out here and come teach you how to use this program and help you teach Videotech 1. And what actually ended up happening in that TA class is I basically had to do everyone's video project for them, because they didn't know how to do anything. And, I mean, I was like, oh, well, how do you cut video here? It's hit the B button. Yeah. But they never learned.
Yeah. And so everything was kind of jumbled up from the move. And Miss Bird had Boyd organize, the first quarter. That's all he did in that TA class was organize stuff. And she refused to, help. And when she did help, it was no, that doesn't go here, it goes over there!
Yeah, I mean, it's... She had problems.
Yeah. Anyway, so she also had a superiority complex. She thought she was better than everyone, and she knew everything, but...
It's the kind of thing where it's she knew nothing about this. But because we were students, and she was the teacher... She had to be in control of everything, even if she was going to control it into a ravine and everyone was going to die. So, I mean, basically what ended up happening is someone had to distract her to get the broadcast done. Because if it wasn't for, like, intervention, the broadcast would take the entire class period. And, I mean, we had broken up the class into 2 pieces, Videotech, the younger kids, and the guys who knew what they're doing. Her idea, I have no idea how that happened, but we made it to where guys who didn't know nothing were alone, and the guys who knew everything were together. But hey, that's what happened.
This is smart planning.
So, basically that class was screwed because I wasn't in that section, so I couldn't distract Bird. So what would happen is, I would go get in an argument with her and draw her out of the broadcasting room so the broadcasters could do their work. I mean, that happened on a consistent basis, so we had arguments,
and
fights.
then I would be like, alright, you on switcher, you anchor, you computer.
And
it was great. It was great.
We got stuff done.
Yeah.
But, of course, what ended up happening is this extreme hatred between the two of us started to happen. And it was like, the second I walked in the door, we were arguing and yelling about something. And so, I mean, that's exhausting for me, but hey, I'm a teenager. I like to argue with people.
Especially when they're wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, enjoyed my time in the class, but it was ridiculous.
And so, we were, at the beginning, junior year, we wanted to do a portable broadcast. We wanted to go to games and pretty much do what we did for the morning announcements at a football game.
ESPN style.
Yeah,
ESPN,
man. It would have been great. So Mrs. Bird was like, alright, well, why don't you guys go film a football game? And we were like, alright, we can do that. And then it turned out that she meant just take cameras and go to the football game instead of taking all the system. So we did it, and we ended up with we ended up with more than 3 hours of footage.
Yeah,
it was like 15 hours of footage, and she expected us to go through all of that and get the highlights and put it in a video. And we were like, no.
I don't really like football all that much either. And I'm a sports guy, so it's, I don't know. Baseball. That's my sport.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So,
we ended up talking her into doing a portable broadcast. Now, this took months.
Hold on. So, obviously, we're pressed for time. But we have so much to say. I'm going to make this a 2 or 3-parter. All right. I want to show this to my kids and say, this is how I felt about my teacher. Anyway, let's continue. So, she spent a lot of money. That's what we'll go to next.
Okay. So, Mr. Grove, he was a very smart man. He knew that the TriCaster, which is the machine we make the announcements with, they never last that long. They're computers. They last maybe 4 years max, especially if you use them well. I mean, come on.
But since we were Meridian, we had to use them 6 years or more.
Yeah. So, our TriCaster, it's dying. It's on the downhill. I mean, it still works and everything, but, it has its moments. So, Mr. Grove had $8,000, somewhere around that range, saved for a rainy day when the TriCaster exploded. It happens.
And we had 2 TriCasters. One of them actually did, fizzle out at the end of junior year. So we started using the other one. And, yeah, that one was, it would have problems sometimes.
Yeah. It's never good to be on your last leg as a tech program like that. So, smart person would say, hey, one TriCaster's broken, replace it. Maybe, or just save it. But instead, Mrs. Bird has the thing where, it's like a 5-year-old, when you hand them $1, they instantly go buy a thing of bubblegum. They don't realize that maybe 10 years from now, they would have wanted to save that money and buy a video game. Or save that money and buy a car. Mm-hmm. Or a girlfriend.
That's illegal. Anyway.
Buy random crap.
Anyway, so we're gonna chop this off. Go watch part 2. Part 2.